All right, another podcast from the Michigan Institute of Athletics in Brighton, Michigan. It's going to be an awesome podcast today. Right before we get into it, I want to shout out VetLife. VetLife is a 501c3 nonprofit company. It's a company of veterans for veterans. Every veteran faces difficulty when transitioning from active duty back to civilian life, and VetLife is there to ease that transition. If you want to reach out to VetLife, the best way to do so is through Instagram or Facebook, or check out their website at vetlifetoday.org. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the guest. I have Jordan Corridor on the podcast today. She's a local business owner, a woman in the community leading a way for her brand, and I don't want to steal any of her thunder, so I'm going to turn it over to her. Jordan, for the people that don't know you, let's take it all the way back. Were you born and raised here in Michigan? And, let's start to tell your story as a young woman and, how you became first a stylist and now a business owner.
Okay. Cool. So I actually did grow up here in Michigan. I was raised in South Lyon. I went all throughout school in South Lyon, Michigan. And then from there, I guess in high school, my mom kind of made me get a job. So she came home one day and was like, so I signed you up to be a receptionist at a local hair salon here in Brighton. So from then, I guess I had no idea what I wanted to do. College was coming and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I kind of applied everywhere. And from there, my mom had signed me up. So I started twice a week in a local hair salon, and my old boss did apprenticeships. Sorry.
No, it's honestly good. It's already a shocking story because you almost just fell into this. Your mom went one day and was like,
Right.
hey, I put you into this position. You're going to go work at a hair salon. That wasn't your choice. You just found yourself in that position.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I always loved doing hair. I have 3 little sisters. And so anything we would do, any holiday or event, I was always doing their hair. I was always doing my friend's hair. But in high school, I had no idea I wanted to be a hairdresser. So yeah, I literally fell into this receptionist position. And from there, my boss did apprenticeship. So literally, I was actually going to college, and I looked at my mom and dad one day. I sat them down. And I was like, okay, this is not for me. Kristen has a apprenticeship open. I think this is what I want to do. So my dad's like, okay, if we're gonna do this though, you're gonna, do this. We've already tried one thing. Let's go all in. So from there, I just continued to reception until the position was open. And 2 years went by. I did my apprenticeship. By the time I was done, literally ate, slept, breathed hair, So by the time I was done, I pretty much had a full clientele, which was awesome. The community, all the people I went to high school with were so supportive that it kind of, became my life. So from there, I did my 2 years apprenticeship, graduated, and continued to work behind the chair.
So when you first went to college, did you know what you were going to become, or were you just in college hey, I'm going to get my college education done? What were you going to college for? Where were you going to college at?
So originally I wanted to go something into the fashion type of industry, kind of goes hand in hand with hair, same type of, industry a little bit. So I was going to, which I think Schoolcraft maybe. I was supposed to go to Central Michigan. They had a huge program for it. But I was like, no, I really don't. I wasn't 100% in it. So I went to Schoolcraft for a week. And that's when I, pulled out and talked to my dad. And literally from then on, from the second I started doing hair, I loved it. So it kind of worked out. It fell right into place.
It is wild. It's wild to hear because I know you now as the studio owner who is someone that's extremely strong at branding and marketing, and we're going to get into all these things. And I actually think your eye for fashion is probably a big reason that you're so good at knowing what imaging to put out and how to present things, because you know that people are looking for a look. They want a feel in a product, right? You want to be a part of something that is quality, that's authentic, that's high level, right? So your mom just so happened to almost find your passion for you. That's wild. Most people tend to blunder into things, then they're like, oh, I love to do this. Yeah. But for you, it was a chance of events through your mother. Did she ever tell you why she picked that? Why she could have picked any job to go out to select for you, but yet she picked something that ends up becoming your future that it seems like is the perfect choice.
Yeah. I think, what they say, mom knows best. She was going there. The girl who cuts her hair was my boss. So she was like, hey, I'm hiring a receptionist. Do you know anyone? My mom's like, yes, I do. So it kind of, between all of them, it kind of worked out. So it was great.
That's awesome. What studio was that originally?
K Bella Hair Studio in downtown Brighton, actually.
That's awesome. So you got to get right into a great studio that was already successful. You found your love for it. You started to build your clientele. When did you, or when or how did you start to make the transition that not only, did you love this and you were good at it, but you might be able to, did you just make the jump to I'm going to be a business owner and I'm going to, start my own brand and like I'm going to lead the way? How did that transition happen? Or was it a slow process over time?
So I guess like what I said, like when my dad's like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it. And I was always like super into it. Like I said, always there, like always doing hair. And the salon I worked at was a great salon. It was a great place to start. But I guess I was like kind of looking to surround myself with people more like myself or more my age or maybe a little bit younger for more of a passion in the industry, I guess. So, and one of my friends actually reached out to me and was like, have you ever thought about like owning your own salon? Because I was essentially my own business behind the chair. I was a booth renter. So I did create my brand, Jordan Corridor Hair was what it was called, behind the chair. And was kind of doing the same thing I'm doing now, as in marketing for myself and blah, blah. But my one friend was like, hey, we're not like loving the place we're at. Have you ever thought about owning your own? And I was like, no, like, it was just about me. I didn't think I wanted to take on anyone else. I was 20, I think, 20. I was like, no way, like, no. And then, a day later, I contacted my realtor and was like, hey, do you know of any like places in Brighton? And then I fell into John Kogo and Elena Kogo, who own the building now. And they're like, hey, we have a spot for you, so.
Did you know them previously? Like, had you had a relationship with the Kogo family, or did that come just from your search to find a place?
No, I knew the Kogos. I knew them for about a year and a half. I mean, not great friends, but, they, like, really helped, They're like, hey, we have a spot for you, and they've literally been helping me the whole way until now. Now they just help me expand where I'm at. John's been a huge help.
So it is pretty wild to think that, you were almost like an independent contractor that was running your own brand in a small way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You had to do your own brand. You had to find your clients. You had to build up relationships with them. You had to brand yourself. You had Jordan Corridor Hair. I mean, you were creating a business. Yeah. But it's almost like that doorway in your mind didn't open up till someone said to you, hey, why don't you run your own business? And then you're like, no, So you're telling me the next day, after that conversation, you started looking to start your own place.
Well, yeah, she texted me. She's like, me and my friend, Laura, who's my top stylist, who's been working with me from the day we opened the doors. It's like, me and my friend both want to work there. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was kind of like moving out of where I was. So it's not like it was like so random. And I was looking at other salons and nothing was like, I've always been I'm the oldest girl. I have 5 siblings. I've always been kind of a leader in a way. So I don't know. I wanted to do my own thing a little bit. When she mentioned it, I was like, okay, yeah. If I have some support and some people who want to come with me, sure. So yeah, the next day I texted Brandon and he's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm not. So
that's awesome. So let's talk about basically what was happening from the way I'm perceiving your story is you saw the pros and the cons of the place that you were at, but you wanted to create your own culture. You wanted to create your own culture of excellence or what you deemed to be like, hey, this is what I would want a studio to look like. Let's start to talk about the creative process because you go out, at this current time, you're Jordan Corridor Hair, you're known through the people that you work with, but I'm sure the branding was much smaller than it is now. Yeah. How do you start to create the name for what you're going to be? How do you start to come up with what is your, image? What is, what are you going to tell your clients? Like, how do you start to build all the process of your business? Talk about that.
Right. So I guess I started to begin to create my image behind the chair, and it was blondes. I started off doing all these blondes, and I would kind of use the term, which is like our slogan now, cool girl hair, like, and it was a younger clientele I had, and I was like, oh, like, let's give you cool girl hair, like, and I'm one of those people that when something, when I like say something, I kind of like use it until it's like exhausted, like I just like keep like, pressing the term or word or whatever. So I was like, oh, cool girl hair, or let's make you blonde. Like, it became such a little brand, behind my own chair that I was like, oh, I don't know, like, who to necessarily, when I can't fit them in, like, I was working till, like, midnight behind the chair by myself. I'm like, when I can't fit them in, like physically, I need some time for myself. Who am I supposed to pass them along to that can also, you know, produce the same thing I'm doing or kind of create like that mini brand? So yeah, cool girl hair kind of took off, and I needed to surround myself. And I feel like, what's the word? Surround myself and motivate myself from my surroundings.
Yeah, you needed like-minded people. You
Yeah.
needed people that kind of could also play into that cool girl hair. You were
Right.
creating a culture, right? You were
Yeah.
trying to establish a reputation or a final product that if it wasn't you producing it, if it was someone you vouched for, they would produce it so that
Yeah.
like someone knew that they could put faith in you.
Right. Faith in me and faith in my girls. And Brighton didn't really have anything like that. Something trendy, upbeat, like you walk in and you feel like you're at home, but you're also being taken care of. And you know you're going to, walk out feeling like good, beautiful. Obviously, that's why you go get your hair done, to feel good about yourself. So on top of like knowing that you are getting good hair, you feel at home, you have the conversations, you have the people, just to make yourself feel better. Or I feel more comfortable in my brand that my girls can produce that or make people feel like themselves.
That's had to have built your confidence, because really you're this young woman in this field. You know, you're just starting out as a business owner. You're just getting the ball rolling. You're competing against, like, let's say Kay Bella, like these established, like the model's been there forever. Like you don't have to go to Kay Bella to imagine what it's probably going to be like and have a general product. Like it's the way that it's been for a long period of time. But here you are, like on a trendy new, we're going to create a new culture. You're going to have a certain feeling when you come in. So this has to start building you up as an entrepreneur and making you feel better. How do you find the right people? Like when you started to say, okay, I see the vision that I'm creating. I know what I want this studio to produce. How do you start finding people that will match that culture? How do you train them for that? How do you, keep them to the standards that you want? Because I know what it's like. I mean, when someone represents your brand, it matters to you.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to do this, you are a direct reflection of me. So
Yeah.
it has to be high quality. How did you start finding the right people? And then where did like Studio FRWD come from? Because right when I saw it and I did some research, it's very catchy. It's very, I don't know, it's you have good branding.
Yeah. Well, I guess to start, Studio FRWD, the name came from, I had like 15 names. It came from drinking a lot of wine and passing like options back and forth with my family and my friends. Yeah, so Studio FRWD, my dad was like, name a Jordan corridor hair. I'm like, I'm not Paul Mitchell. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and I don't want my name to be all over
That's awesome.
everything. Yeah. So Studio FRWD, just like everything else, just kind of fell into place. But the girls, like I said, Laura, she's been with me from day one, and honestly, we have the same birthday. So we literally have so much in common. We call each other like twin flames. Like she's like my kind of like my match. And from then on, all the girls came to me, or like someone recommended them to me. And I've had people interview, but I have been like super lucky with the amount of people who have come to me or I've seen. I think the only one I really reached out to was Laura, and the rest reached out to me. But I could tell, like, when we were in our small space, and this is why we expanded, I was like, I'm not hiring anyone else. And people kept like trying to apply. When they'd come in, like the second I saw them, I'm like, oh shit, I like her so much. Like it just worked out. And personality-wise, like, and I feel like that was like the most important. I know that I can train anyone if they have a good personality versus like if they're good at hair and don't have the personality. So like I was telling you earlier, like every girl who works for Studio FRWD trains under us, and when we work, we're all sharing formulas, talking about it, like start to finish. We all interact as a team. So it helps the girls, the new girls that are just out of school learn. You assist, you watch all of us, and then from there, that's when they start to go on their own. So every girl who has applied has started off as an assistant at Studio FRWD, and from there, like I said, all you need is the personality. And when I meet someone, it's like, okay, I like you. Obviously, I'm gonna hire you. I can train you, and yeah, we're all such good friends. It's actually pretty cool. We all hang out all the time. We go out all the time. We're planning a trip together, so it's really fun.
And what a spectacular work environment, because most people don't have that. A lot of people work with people that they don't like, or their boss is a shithead, or I mean, that's like the common stories you hear.
Right.
You're creating a culture, right? Like the things that we're missing from your other studio.
Yeah.
That you're creating a culture where you're like, man, this is my team, this is my squad. Like we have that here. Like we have a squad of people. So it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like you're ever really doing anything that you don't want to do. These are the people that you would like to be around.
Yeah.
You're going to go on vacation with them.
Right.
So you're finding the right people, you're starting to expand, you're starting to grow. At first, what was it like being the boss, though, where at the end of the day, like all of the business came down to you? You know, like all of a sudden, all the pressure's on you. You are the captain of the ship. Was it an easy transition for you? Because you kind of just, like you said, being the eldest sibling and you're a trendy person, you stuck, hey, cool girl hair, I'm going to run that into people until everyone wants to be a part of cool girl hair.
Yeah.
It's funny because how many times you've heard of people talk about like when you put energy out in the universe, like that same energy tends to come back?
Yeah.
It's true. You almost create like a magnetism. If you create a culture that people want to be a part of, the people that match that culture seek it out.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you didn't have to find them. They found you.
Right.
Right? But now all of a sudden you are the boss.
Yeah.
You have to have multiple hats. You're Jordan the friend.
Yeah.
You're Jordan the business owner, and you're Jordan the boss.
Yeah.
What was that transition like?
That was probably maybe my hardest transition because, like I said, when we first started, it was me, Laura, and Alyssa. There's three of us, and we're all friends. And I'm sitting here, like, obviously doing all the taxes and the payroll and the insurance and all the stuff that comes into it. And that I knew a little bit from being my independent contractor behind the chair, like paying rent and ordering my own color. So easy. But actually, like, asserting myself as the boss and making sure that, yes, we're friends, but they have some respect for me was a little bit hard. And not as in like where it's been an issue, but you kind of do have to create that boundary. So that's my hardest thing too, because obviously I want to be part of all the fun. You know, in the back room, I want to talk and laugh like the girls. So creating a boss and being in charge and creating respect for myself did take a little bit of time, but we've gotten there, and I have a manager too to help me, so I don't necessarily always have to be the bad guy. I can still be a stylist and their colleague and someone who works right next to them, and that was probably my hardest transition, is actually being a boss.
Especially in this generation, a lot of people avoid confrontation at all costs. Like, and healthy conflict is a very good thing. Like if someone's not performing to their best standards, it's actually, if you care about them, you should call them out.
Right.
You should say, hey, like this quality of work is, or the quality of any part of your presentation right now is not really the standard that you can achieve.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a part of the studio, we care about this standard, and you should as well. So it's like these are difficult conversations, but honestly, it just raises the bar.
Right.
And you set the standard to show other women that like, hey, if you're going to be a part of this, it really matters to me that you give your best. You know, so it's something that I think the younger generation struggles with, is like confrontation is good as long as it's done in the right way, pushing people to be better.
Right.
So let's talk about a little bit, where do you get the eye for how you brand your studio? Because right off the bat, within 5 minutes of me looking at it, I went, wow, this is extremely high quality. It's very clean. Your hair clips, it looks like you did full studio sessions just for those hair clips. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
You're not showing a product that could be shown by 60 billion people in a heartbeat. You are selling a feeling. You are selling an image. You are selling almost cool girl hair through a hair clip.
Right.
Where does that come from? How do you naturally do that, or did that take work?
So the cool girl, or the hair clips, which is, I kind of branched off, and that just started in November of 2020. So that was like something that I wanted to create to expand the brand outside of Brighton. So we do have another little part of the brand, the hair clips and everything, but creating that feeling, honestly, which is so awesome, we get a lot of compliments on that. And that was always just something that I thought was cool, like posting the hair. I'm not just like, okay, let's post the side of your head. Like, let's capture how you feel about it. And girls love to take pictures. Are you kidding? Especially college girls. Like, they love to be in front of the camera. So if their hair looks good, they're styled, their makeup's done, they come, like, they're ready to pose for the camera by the end of the day. So that came from literally our clients just being happy, which was so awesome. So that, like, feeling and brand created, I think, from the environment, you know, the positive energy we gave off, they gave it back to us, and it was great for marketing. Like our marketing, I feel like comes from our clients kind of. They post their pictures, they post their hair, which is easy. You just get your hair done. Who doesn't want to take a picture? So that was so awesome for creating that brand. And that was just like, you know, the trendy styles of hair, the balayage, the blonde hair, the long hair, the curls. And that is so common too in other big places like LA, New York, like, and so bringing that to Brighton, I think was kind of cool.
It's funny you say that because it's exactly how I felt about it. When I saw the images that you were doing and like the way that you were representing it, it felt like what you'd see in New York. Yeah. It felt like what you would, you know, see on a poster of Fashion Week somewhere. You know what I mean? And it's ahead of the curve. You're tapping into like Instagram is huge and all the like. This is the next culture coming up. The next generation is completely consumed by image. They want to see something. They know if it's professional in half a second of looking at it because they're going to scroll to the next thing. Right. You know what I mean? So you really have to capture that attention and you have to show them because like, and I almost went through a similar process here where back in the day, I mean, I started this gym out of a basement. I was like, where you get the information doesn't matter as long as you're successful with the information that I teach you. Yeah. But then I realized like when someone opens the front door, every interaction they have, the color of the walls, the way that they're spoken to, like it all adds up to how they feel about the product. Right. You know what I mean? And you're really frontlining that. Do you think that's something that your studio is way ahead on because of your age? Because a lot of these other studios, they probably do great hair. They probably have a lot of clients. They probably have, but they're not hitting, in my opinion, they're not going to do nearly as well with the younger generation. These next kids, they're going to go into prom and then graduate and that want cool girl hair. You're going to be way ahead of the curve. Yeah. Do you feel that's the truth?
I think so. I think the internet is huge right now. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, like, and the information's literally all at your fingertips. You just, you know, got to find it. So like, yeah, I'm sitting scrolling through Instagram all the time. Like before bed, I'm watching videos on hair, you know, just because I have a passion for it. So that does help. But literally, yes, the internet is kind of like your ticket to success. That does all the marketing for you. And I think, yeah, it does help. And showing I think so. I think the internet really has set us apart from other salons.
How old are you right now, Jordan?
I just turned 25.
So you just turned 25. You're crushing it. You're a business owner. What do your goals look like? Because in a half a decade, your life has transformed, you know, majorly. Yeah. You went from starting out your own thing to where you sit today. What do your goals look like? What do your goals look like for your brand? What do your goals look like as a stylist? What do your goals look like as a business owner? Just how do you see the next couple years going? And like in a perfect world, you know, if we were going to have a conversation 3 years down the road, what does your life look like?
Well, that's, and like I mentioned before, we just started this brand FRWD. And like I said, I wanted to branch out. And Brighton is so fun. Love being part of the community. But it is kind of a small community. I mean, we got Livingston County. We have girls from, you know, Michigan State, Royal Oak, Detroit. But branching out of Michigan was kind of important to me and something I thought was super cool. So I started this brand of hair accessories, which that's kind of my focus right now. My long-term goal that's hard. I'm like one of those people that it's like I think about it and I do it right now. So I'm like day by day kind of. I love to think about the future. Like it's so fun to think about, well, maybe in 5 years we do a second location, or maybe in 5 years I have this big brand that maybe like it could be on Nordstrom or Revolve because we're selling these hair clips to, you know, bigger companies, or someone famous is wearing my hair clip. Like stuff like that sounds so cool. But as for like saying, oh, I want to have 5 hair salons by 2025, like maybe, I don't know. Maybe that doesn't work out. So I guess my long-term goals is like, obviously to build the brand and grow, but also be able to still enjoy what I'm doing. I feel like that's been something that I've been kind of struggling with, trying to find time for myself on top of running the business. So like right now I'm kind of focusing on building my brand, but maybe stepping back from behind the chair because I love to do the business stuff. So hair, obviously love, but I've been doing hair so much that I don't have time to run the business. So long-term goals right now is to be able to run and grow the business while still having a personal life.
That makes so much sense. I mean, I had to go through a transition period where, like, back in the day, I did like 5, 6, 7, 8 private lessons a day, and I got paid per hour very well for them. But it got to the point where, like, my time was actually better spent working on the business and the brand and the big picture goals, like the things that we wanted to accomplish down the road, than the individual on the mat interacting with every person. And once I did take a step back, I was terrified at first, actually. I had this like, oh my God, there's no way I can, if I take a step back, I'm not going to have a hand on things. It was the best decision ever because I got to focus on the big picture. I got to sit back with actually some free time because, probably like you, I was like, go, 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 to the point where, it was almost a consuming mouse wheel thing that, like, we were running and we were growing. But once I took a step back and I considered, like, what do I want this to look like a couple years down the road, things blew up. Like because my mental energy then was being devoted to, like, the big cause versus I understand what you're saying. The Brighton community, having a successful studio. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I'll pay my bills. I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
But what if I could have a national brand that people knew all over, and regardless of where I wanted to start a location, that brand is your key to that.
Yeah.
You might say, hey, I'm opening a studio in Florida one day. If Studio FRWD is powerful, it'll be successful. Right. You know what I mean? So I think that's a great decision to look at, like, the long term, like, what can I turn this into and where does my passion really lie? Is it actually interacting with, 10 clients or 6 clients a day that makes me happy, or is it what I'm creating?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And plus, as a business owner, you get to be a dreamer.
Yeah. It's fun to step back and, like, sit and think, and it's like, wait, I have so many thoughts and ideas. I just didn't explore them because I was so busy, like, foiling highlights or hair, constantly cutting hair. It's like, wait, I enjoy marketing. I enjoy, like, learning and growing and trying to figure out where I actually want this to go. So that's been kind of cool, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Let's talk about your daily or weekly routines that keeps everything together, because, I mean, it is extremely stressful at times to be an entrepreneur. What do you do to take care of your physical and mental health so that, you're able to be the best version of yourself? Like, what are your routines? Do you write your goals down? Do you exercise? What is your thing?
I usually take it week to week. I've kind of explored different things. I don't write my goals down. Everything is, like, in my head. It's kind of crazy. Like, I have this like, weird memory that, like, it won't leave my head until I finish it. So I've never really had to write my goals down, but I try to, like, I play tennis once a week. I have a Peloton. I try to, like, stay active and make sure I'm spending time with my family and friends, literally talking on the phone. Seems really weird, but that's, like, one of my favorite things to do. So, like, I call my friends. I think they might get annoyed at me, but literally I could chat for hours, just my ideas. I just need to talk to someone. And I do, talking to, like, a therapist or something has helped too, because you literally, like, that's how I get my ideas out, by just talking. So even, like, this is kind of therapeutic. Like, I'm talking to you and our ideas are bouncing back and forth. So I've surrounded myself with people like-minded like me, which is really cool and keeps me organized, like a chaotic organization, because I'm just talking and spitballing ideas, which has helped.
No, it makes perfect sense. A lot of times I tell people that are trying to get their lives together, like, your brain, like, all these thoughts and everything, they might be in there and you might be able to recall them, but it's not, like, tangible at all times. Like, you have to find information versus when you write it down, when you put everything down in front of you and you have to look at it and then you prioritize and you figure out, you know what, like, I really should be dedicating more energy here, or, like, just to get it. It's like tons of filing cabinets or, like, a messy room. Whereas if you put it down on paper, it becomes a diagram. And you get to look at it and say, you know what? I'm going to put a lot of focus here because this will pay dividends, or this would make me happy the most, or why am I focusing all my energy on this when it doesn't matter? Right. But you're able to just keep it all up there, keep the wheels on, you know what I mean? And keep it going the right direction. That's impressive, because somewhere around the first couple of years in, I had to begin writing everything down. And then I became way more efficient.
Really? Yeah. See, I get cramps in my hands. I'd rather not write anything down. So weird. But yeah, I hate paper, pencils. No, it's not for me.
So basically, I mean, your routine kind of just changes as you go. You are able to just, engage with people, talk about your ideas. When you find something and it sticks, you know it. Yeah. I can tell by earlier in your story, you saying, on this day, I had a conversation about, do you want to own your own studio? The next day I was looking. Yeah. That's a serious pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, because we've lightly talked about your studio. Let's talk about your operation itself. How many women do you have working there in Brighton? Just tell me all about your operation. If I was someone that said, hey, Jordan, tell me about your studio.
Yeah. Okay, so I have my 10 stylists, which include 2 assistants, but they, work behind the chair as well. And then I have 2 estheticians, a manager who is my sister-in-law, and she keeps me very organized and very together. She's very structured, and I'm very not structured at all. So I have my manager, and then I have just brought on a creative director. So all together, and then we have our receptionists who help. So all together, there's about 17 of us, I think. 17, 18, maybe. But yeah, so we have, 10 stylists all together. We have about 11 chairs in there. We have 2 tech rooms where the esthetician split, including a spray tan room, and then we have like a whole processing room. But operations-wise, I would say me just talking to my manager weekly or every day, daily, and my creative director who's going to help me organize my thoughts when it comes to social media and advertising and stuff that I just brought on is a lot of help too. So
was it difficult to give up the control and put? Yeah, I knew. I knew for a fact the answer was going to be yes, because it was extremely difficult for me too. But to trust in other people to carry your vision and your brand into the future, how did you find the right people? And then what was it like trying to let go of that control?
Yeah, it was just me running the business, doing hair, and talking to the girls for the longest time. So right after COVID, I had hired a manager, and we got along, and she did a great job, but she was more like-minded with me where she wanted to do the creative stuff, and that's what I wanted to do. So I had hired a manager who complimented me in like my, what I wasn't good at, like math and taxes and budgeting and all that stuff, making sure orders are here today when they need to be. So giving up control was like so hard. I wanted to be able to do it all, but if I wanted to still be alive, I couldn't do it all, essentially. So that was hard. And then slowly but surely, obviously I love to do the marketing and Instagram, and I'm slowly giving that up too, so I can focus on the bigger picture. So like, I feel like one day at a time, you slowly kind of push more tasks to everyone else. And I was like, well, if I'm not answering every phone call and talking to them and deciding what client goes with what stylist, is it going to be okay? And it's like so fine. It's actually better than fine when you let someone else.
I know. I remember the process. I remember thinking that like the building was going to light on fire if I stepped back from any task.
Seriously.
Like if my finger wasn't on everything, things were just going to fall apart.
Well, no one's going to like it. Like no one's going to like their hair if I don't pick who they get to go with, but it's not true.
100%. And then once you finally do relinquish some of that like mental torment, because like you're a control freak that like, because it is your brand, it is your vision, it's your dream. You don't want it, you want it to be your quality. You want it to be the way you see it in your head, right? But once you finally do start taking a step back and you trust other people, then all of a sudden you like really build a respect and like faith in your team. And you're like, wow, we're doing this. And like, it's saving you all that energy and all that stress.
Well, and then you grow. Like you said, we blew up after COVID when I started to focus on other things and letting the small things go. It creates a bigger brand because I have more time to focus on the things like bringing new clients in and seeing what we can change. Step back and looking at it and be like, okay, what needs to be changed now that I'm not doing everything? Like taking a step back, looking at it, and it's like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. And now, we're blowing up because I let go of control.
And really, your energy is able to be used in the best place. Like, you're not best served to answer every phone call. You can teach someone to have phone etiquette.
Right.
You can teach someone to represent your studio well. Your brain power created what exists.
Right.
So that brain power needs to go to steering the ship. Like, the captain of the ship isn't the one mopping the floor in the base. They might help out, but you are best served steering the future.
Right. And when I'm stressed, the girls get stressed. And they say that too. They're like, we can tell when you're stressed. And it causes stress on us. And it's like, okay, so I guess I should not do that. And it won't cause me stress. And then they won't be stressed. So if I can relax and let someone else do it, then everything moves so much better.
So your system is you have a manager that oversees all the minor tasks and then directly reports to you. And you just trust them to make sure that things are handled? Or are you still a little hands-on?
Both. I think there's a few things that I keep kind of to myself, but we're slowly getting there. Like now I can kind of go on a vacation without stressing out. Like I said, she's like family kind of, not in a bad way, like a good, she compliments me so well. She's doing, like, it's so great to find someone who can handle all that. I'm still a little bit of a part of it, obviously, but now I can enjoy doing hair again too, a little bit.
And honestly, it's because you want to. You're not forced to. And then there's a freeing feeling with that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's been good.
So what is it like trying to balance having a personal life with being a business owner that has a dream, that has a vision, that's creating a national brand, that might open other locations, that oversees 17 staff members? Are you still able to balance a personal life, or do you enjoy your work life so well that you find that you don't need it as much as most people do? Because most people, you know, they work their job and then they have to go out on the weekends. They have to be out because, like, throughout the week, they're like, shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I tend to find that, like, man, I love every day of my life. I'm extremely blessed. I don't need to, like, even if I don't have a lot of, like, just free time, I don't want it. Like, I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Have you found it a struggle to balance a personal life, or how do you feel about that area?
Yeah, a little bit. But same, I love my job. So going out every weekend is so much more stressful. Like, going out and drinking or, you know, partying or doing whatever, like a lot of people are my age or my friends. I'll see them sometimes, but I enjoy working on the weekends a little bit, or being able to breathe, or seeing my family. So my personal life, I just make sure it's more relaxing, or hanging out with my friends, or going to dinner, but not overdoing it, I guess. So I don't try to press it. And a lot of times it's kind of nice to, like, I like to be alone and be quiet. My family's so loud. So, like, when I have time and a second to breathe, it's really nice. So I've learned how to balance a personal life, but I still love my job. So it doesn't all the time seem like a job. Or maybe I pick on my free time to do something I love instead of doing the terrible tasks, you know? So my personal life would be, I don't know, figuring that out.
So you're the oldest you have 5 brothers and sisters?
Yeah, so I do have an older brother, but then I have a younger brother and 3 little sisters. So I'm the oldest girl. So it's so much fun.
So what has it been like, you know, for them to see the evolution of from Jordan Corridor hair to the woman that you are today? Has it inspired, would you say, your siblings? Are they, I mean, they're probably super proud of what you're creating. And really that kind of opens doorways in other people's mind. When someone sees someone else accomplishing something, especially if that person is close to you, kind of tells you, like, hey, you can go out and make something for yourself in this life. And generally I find when people are happy and successful, they want to see other people happy and successful. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of people that are crushing it in life that want others to fail. Has it been cool to be, like, you're a leader of your family now? Have you noticed the different dynamic in those relationships?
Yeah, I think it is cool to be, like, a role model for my little sisters, and they love it, and they love free hair. But honestly, they don't think I'm that cool, so it's kind of funny. Like, when I get around them, it's kind of nice to, like, step away from that. Like, my family's never, like, pressed, like, you have to do, or you have to go to college, you have to work, you have to do this. It's always been something you enjoy. So I think it's nice to watch me make a brand out of something I love. I think that's been really cool, and really cool to show them that it doesn't have to be you have to go to a 9-to-5 and work and bring home money to feed. It's like you find something you enjoy, and, you know, that creates a job. Or does that make sense?
No, that's huge. Do you think your parents were kind of pivotal in, like, they set the right attitude and environment to make you who you are today to be successful? The way I'm hearing this story is, like, they almost encouraged you to, like, find what you love to do in this life. They didn't tell you, like, you better go to school or you're a loser, you got to get this job. They kind of wanted you to go explore and find, like, who is Jordan meant to be.
They did. It was nice. I would say that it was, and it wasn't like, okay, you have to necessarily be successful at what you're doing, but I want you to find something you enjoy. And I was, like, so thankful for my parents, like, setting that goal for us. And obviously working is important, but making sure you're happy was, like, the biggest thing. My mom always said, it's better to be rich in love than rich in money. So, like, finding something you love and surrounding yourself with people you love was, like, huge. And that's so cool.
That's amazing. I had my mother passed away when I was young, but I had my aunt who was, like, my mother in my life, and she was the exact same way. She was just like, she used to say to me all the time, and I always thought it was silly. She was like, life is all about love. Like, you have to find relationships you love. You have to find work that you love. Like everything you do has to be like, you got to make something out of this life that involves love.
Yeah.
And it kind of set me on that course to like, I don't need to just work a job to make money.
Yeah.
Like I need to find a way to go through this experience doing something that I'm proud of, that I'm actually passionate about. Because like, when something is really hard, if you're passionate about it, it's a challenge that you want to overcome. If something is really hard and you don't have passion for it, it is nothing but stress and breaks you down and makes, you know what I mean? If you're working for a job that you have no care for or love for at all, that's where you get beaten down. Even if you face hard times or you face difficulty, it's a challenge. You're going to take it on. You're going to be passionate because you love what you do.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about what COVID was like for the studios and the salons because, I mean, like Carl the Barber made national headlines. You know what I mean? I got to have lunch with him one day. And I mean, he was all over the national media as someone that was just like, hey, I'm kind of not listening to what's going on. What was it like for your studio? Were you already up and running before COVID took place? And then, you know, what was that period like? And since then, has it gone back to like, would you say normal yet, or at least to the point where everybody can operate comfortably and you're not like still suffering from the effects?
Yeah, I would say COVID and kind of helped us grow a little bit. We're maybe a little bit thankful for that time to sit down and think about it. It was 3-4 of us stylists who were working there, and then after we came back from COVID, that's when now I have 17 employees. So sitting down, and I made sure that when we did have that time off, obviously it was hard and stressful, and no one knew anything that was going on, and doing hair makes us our most money and helps us run. But when we sat down, I had time to sit back and think and be like, okay, what can we do to keep us relevant in this time? So I made sure that the whole time we were making videos, we were posting products they needed and doing like curbside pickup to sell products, or posting videos on how to curl your hair or style your hair or keep your hair healthy at home while you can't be getting haircuts or normal maintenance. So I made sure we were all posting videos once a week or keeping up with the community to say, like, when we come back, we're here for you. Like, don't forget about us. We're still relevant. We have all this to offer you. So I made sure we were relevant on social media, and I think that helped us blow up when we came back from COVID. So yeah, it sucked, and not doing hair like sucked for 3 months, I believe we were out totally. But we're back, and it helped us expand, and that's what helped us get more room. So we were tiny down there, and we couldn't all work at the same time. So I would say now it's been about a year since we've been back full time, and it's been great. We're totally back to normal. Brighton community is awesome. I will say in the spot we are did help. I would say maybe if we were in Detroit or Lansing, it maybe wouldn't have been so easy, but keeping up with the community while we were down really helped us. So I can't say we were hurt bad from it, obviously a little bit, but it helped.
It really sounds like you grew tremendously. I mean, you took the time to take a reset and say, okay, let's, we have this going on. We're going to figure out exactly who we are, what we are, and let our community know that, like, we're going to be here for them.
Right.
When this is over, like, we will still be your studio. We will still be rising. And I mean, to go from 4 employees to 17 after that time, you experienced tremendous growth. That's over 400%.
Yeah.
So you've expanded dramatically. You know what I mean? Where is your studio located in Brighton?
So we're right on Main Street, in between Chow Michi's and the White Dress.
Yeah, right on downtown Brighton, not far from the Mill Pond. I mean,
nope, right
like
across
right
from
there.
the Mill Pond. Yep, and then when you go in, we're actually on the lower level. So we should be getting our big sign here on Main Street in the next couple weeks. We have a back entrance and a front entrance. But yeah, right by the Mill Pond.
Those luxury apartments or condos are about to open up. They just built the condos on the Mill Pond. They have the ones that are right on Main Street. Actually, the guy that is a part owner there trains here all the time, Chris Kleba.
Nice. Yeah,
He's in here. So those are about to open. So Brighton community is expanding. Like anyone in commercial real estate will tell you that like Brighton and Howell over the next 5 years are going to experience like tremendous growth.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple new restaurants opening. I know a few new shops. The Running Lab just expanded. Their place looks awesome. So, yeah, literally Brighton is just growing, which is
you
great.
couldn't be in a better spot. So your brand is blowing up. You've gone from 4 to 17.
Right.
And the community is doing the exact same thing. So we're going to have more people. We're going to have people looking for culture, looking for where they fit in, looking for what they're a part of, So let's just talk about, final thing is just, shout out all your social media. Shout out, how do people follow you? If someone watches this interview and they want to get cool girl hair, that's the first time on the interview I think I said it correctly.
Yeah.
I struggle. Cool girl hair. Can you
tongue twister,
cool girl hair?
Yeah.
Just shout out all your social media. You know what I mean? How can people follow you? Do you have a website? If there was a girl that believes that she would be a stellar employee for you in the future, like how do they reach out to you? Let's just really go over your brand for anyone that was listening.
Yeah, so we're mainly on Instagram, and we have our 2 Instagrams, Studio FRWD, and then I have The FRWD, which is, the accessories aside from the studio. And then our studio kind of showcases everything we have: hair, eyelashes, eyelashes, facials, and all that stuff. So we have Studio FRWD and then The FRWD, and then if you wanted to go to our website, it's actually called FRWDTheBrand.com, and that shows you all your information and how to contact us, or email, phone number, text message, blah, blah, blah. We have like our email marketing list on there and stuff to get specials and everything. So basically, if you want to follow us, Studio FRWD's going to give you everything you need.
You have a Facebook or a Twitter?
No Twitter.
Those are for old people, right?
No Twitter. We do have a Facebook. Facebook I need to get into more because we still want old people to come to our hair salon. It's not just for young girls, and our older women love, being part of a fun environment. So we do need to get more on Facebook. But we have TikTok.
Up. I can tell just by, by your main presence is Instagram.
Yeah.
Because that is your clientele. You know what I mean?
Is.
And like you're leading the way in that. And I can also tell by your website name, your domain name, and the fact that you have 2 Instagrams, you're very in love with the brand side of it.
Yeah.
You do want to pour passion into the brand being in the power. Like, yes, this is a location, but this is much bigger than a location.
Right. Well, yeah, the brand was the biggest part, and that's what I started to focus on. And we actually do, in our expansion, we have like a big retail area, and I want to bring that into Brighton too, like, because we have anything you could need for hair. Come to us and you can shop, like silk pillowcases, silk scrunchies, like all the hair clips, all the combs, all the brushes, anything cute to put in your hair, any product you need for your hair. I want to bring that in to bring people into shop. We do merchandise too, like clothing and all that stuff to bring. Brighton doesn't have a lot of stores. They have a few, but I'd like to bring like gifts and stuff, anything you need to gift or, we're there.
Honestly, when you have a powerful brand, you can put it on anything.
Yeah.
Nike is a swoosh.
Yeah.
They can slap a swoosh on anything.
Yeah.
A shirt, on underwear, shoes, it doesn't matter. And people desire it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's what it represents.
Yeah.
So you're thinking of something really big. I mean, it could be to the point where if there's power in that brand, it doesn't matter what you could sell a pen that says Studio FRWD and people are going to buy it.
Right. Which is cool, which is kind of the goal. Yeah. Yeah. Just expanding the brand.
Well, it's awesome. And man, I mean, if there's anything else that you'd like to cover on the podcast today, we went almost an hour. You were all nervous.
I know.
About
I was
the
like 20 minutes and I'm out. No,
it was effortless.
Yeah.
It was just good conversation back and forth.
It was fun.
I think people got to see your story a little bit, got to know you a little bit. You know what? I have a final question for you. Who is Jordan Corridor away from the hair and brand?
Oh my God, I don't know. Jordan Corridor is the brand. Jordan Corridor has always been a hairdresser, so that's kind of hard. I have 2 cats, so that
okay.
I think every client who sits down goes, "How are your cats?" And it's like, "Oh shit, how did I create that for myself?" But yeah, Jordan Corridor, I guess, kind of is the brand. That's like my favorite part.
I love it. That's actually the answer that I was kind of hoping for. Because remember in the very beginning of this interview, you went, "I'm not Paul Mitchell." No, but you are Jordan Corridor. And you think Paul Mitchell started as Paul Mitchell? Or did he probably build to that point?
Yeah, he did, 100%. Yeah. It's cool. That's
Without
cool.
a doubt. So at the end of the day, we are not what we have what we're able to become yet.
Yeah.
But if you stay on the road, there's no reason that one day Jordan Corridor isn't a national figure through having a brand that's powerful. Sometimes it's hard to see ourselves that way.
Yeah.
Because like in the eyes of your siblings, like you said, you're just Jordan.
Right.
Shut
they
up,
don't think
Jordan.
I'm cool. Yeah. Yeah.
You're leading a brand into the future, but they're like, that's just my sister and
Right.
whatever. But no, that's how life works. And that's like kind of what making life an adventure is you can become an extremely powerful figure with a lot of magnitude. And the process to see yourself that way is probably slow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like you had to see yourself as the person to relinquish some control and step back and then create this. And now I play this role and that role. But who knows? One day you could be the most successful person I've ever interviewed. And that's how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty in life.
Yeah.
And too many people forget that like there is endless potential.
Yeah.
You got to pursue it.
Yeah, you do. You just kind of got to let go and, just let fear can't stop you. I feel like that's been like the biggest thing. It's like, you just, yes, sure. And if I have to move back in with my parents because it doesn't work out, I guess they're fine. Like great roommates, So it could be, you just got to do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask the final question of if there was any message that you would send out to the younger version of yourself, the woman that first was thinking, or let's say any young girl that has a dream, that thinks maybe they want to start their own company, that wants to be an entrepreneur themselves. Like, what would you tell them? But you might have just answered that. Like, hey, just say, you're playing Yes Man, Jim Carrey.
Right.
You want to throw the rock through that window? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Sure. We'll see what happens, right? It's kind of cool to see what happens. So
100%. So really just go for it. Shut up fear, you
Yeah.
know, believe in yourself and make it happen.
Right. Yeah.
So Jordan, it was a pleasure having you on today, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.